choices and perspectives. Imagine, if you will, the wide open sea. Every place you look is water, water and sky. You're out here all alone. Imagine a boat on the sea, not just an empty boat, that wouldn't be so interesting. How about a boat filled with people? What goes through your mind? What are these people thinking? They have limited resources, limited rations, limited water, and lots of people. But ultimately, they have to decide some way to survive. And it's very easy for these people to look at each other as being resource sinks, as being just mouths to feed, instead of looking at each other as being resources that can tap into what appears to be no resources around them, but in fact is unlimited resources. What do I mean? Well, I mean, there's fish in the sea. Is there some way to catch these fish? Could these catch these fish? How could they catch these fish? In fact, those words, how could they catch these fish, could be said in two different ways. One is a dismissive way, saying that there's no way that they could catch these fish. How could they catch these fish? But another way is filled with curiosity, problem solving, trying to actually get to the problem. How could they catch these fish? Maybe one of them has something that could act as a hook. Maybe they have a piece of string that could act as a fishing line. Maybe they do have at least a little bit of rations that they could then use to go get more fish, which they could use to feed themselves and as more bait to get more fish. And so they could get unlimited fish. They even have birds, maybe not many, but maybe they can use a few of their rations to lure some birds nearby and be able to capture them. Another source of food, another resource that's not obvious immediately whenever you're in this condition. You're only looking at what's inside the boat. You got to look at what's outside. You got to look at your fellow person as being somebody that can be creative and ingenuitive and actually help you increase the resources available. And what about water? I mean, here is a group of people that's surrounded by water, but it's salt water. They can't drink it directly. But why couldn't they just turn it into fresh water? I mean, the process is simple enough. You already have the sun evaporating the water. Just need some way to collect that water vapor and to condense it. And so these people that look like they have limited resources, that they need to fight each other for what they have, instead could come together and realize they have unlimited resources around them. And I ask you, is this any different from our life here on Earth? Are we not just on a bigger lifeboat? I mean, look at the Earth from the vantage point of the moon. It's small, fragile, finite. It's very special. But it is not all the resources in the solar system. It's not all the resources in the galaxy. It's not all the resources in the universe. In fact, it's a minuscule amount of those resources. In fact, one of the resources that we need is more power, and the sun produces almost infinite power compared to what we consume. Consider this. If you created a sphere that had the same diameter as Earth's orbit, and you looked at the surface area of that sphere, that basically represents all the energy that the sun is producing. But how much of that falls on the Earth? Well, take a cross section of the Earth, and that is how much of that sun's energy is actually falling on the Earth. And the ratio between those is something around 1 to 700 billion. Think about that. Everything you know, everything on Earth, all storms, all oil, all life, everything was powered with only 1/700th billionth of the sun's energy. We have access to unlimited energy. We just have to figure out how to use it. And what about material resources? These are just some of the moons and bigger rocky bodies in our solar system. There's so much out there, so many resources. Sure, it's difficult to get to. Sure, we don't know how to do it. Sure, we haven't do it, but that doesn't mean we can't do it. We can go and make use of all these resources. There is no reason for us to fight among ourselves. We can have an unlimited, unbounded, abundant future. We just have to decide that's what we want, that we're willing to work together and see each other as creative beings, ingenuitive beings, beings that can work together and make great things happen. Some even say that asteroid mining is going to create $1 trillion industry. And even that may be a very small thinking compared to what it could do. So let's go out there and make use of this vast resources of space, and let's have an abundant, unbounded, peaceful future. Thank you.